back to arrangement in just a little bit. But let's talk about the thesis. Coming up with a thesis obviously means you need to start with you start with your topic, then you narrow it down, and then you've got to come up with a claim for that thesis. What a thesis is your claim of fact. When I told you don't use the word I in your paper, you want to create your claim or your thesis either as a declarative statement, or you can put it as a question, or you can put it as a quote. There's different ways that you can put it. Some of you wrote, I am going to write about. How would you revise that? Instead of saying, I'm going to write about, I'm going to write about the minimum wage is not enough to live on. How would you restate that without using the word I?
This essay will be on minimum wage.
You wouldn't even have to say this essay. What would be more concise? I'm going to write about the minimum wage is not enough to live on.
Minimum wage is not enough to live on.
Boom! You got it! Straight declare. That's strong. No one can live on minimum wage today. That's it.
There you go.
So you don't even have to use I. Just use the declarative statement. Take the I out. You can revise all the sentences that you have with the I. You can take those out, turn them into declarative statements. But you want something that's good and strong. It can be a claim of fact. The minimum wage today is not enough to live on. There may be another way. A debate rages in Washington today about should the federal government set the minimum wage. Or it may be, should the states or the federal government decide what the minimum wage should be? The thesis of a persuasive essay is a claim of value. In other words, you're trying to persuade somebody about the values that you hold in a particular subject. You do this by asking questions. This is the way you get your thesis. You begin with a broad subject area. So let's pick out, look on the paper there, let's do this. Let's pick out a topic, and then we're going to try to break that down. We're going to do some invention questions, and then we're going to develop a thesis for it. Kiss the light there for me.
Should there be stricter gun control laws in America? Should there be stricter gun control laws in America?
Ooh.
Yes.
All right. Let's pick out one of those topics, and let's see what we can do about creating
Argumentative essay.
an argumentative essay. Let's look at the topics, and let's look at the develop a thesis. Because I'm on camera, I'm going to keep it as all of the class, otherwise I'll be breaking up into teams. So let's just pick one. Read some of those out. Which one should we use?
Does religion cause war?
Which one?
Does religion cause war?
Does religion cause wars?
Is the cost of college too high?
Is the cost of college too high? Shall we try that? Is the cost of... I'd be all for it. Does religion cause wars? But that might get really crazy. So let's do this. Is the cost of college too high? Do I dare ask anybody if the cost of college is too high?
I think it is.
I think it is.
Who says yes?
Yeah, it is.
Who says no?
It's too high.
And some don't say.
I'll put 2 hands on
I
that.
don't know what to think about the price.
I think it is.
I think it depends on what you're going for.
All right, that's a pretty broad, well, I don't know, that's not really all that broad. But let's take the topic, is the cost of college too high? And let's brainstorm some possible questions, invention questions. If you were going to write that paper, is the cost of college too high? What would be some questions that you would want answered?
Why is it so high?
You know, that's a pretty good question. When
Why is it so high?
Why is it so high?
Well, if I know that I'm paying a certain amount, I want to know where that money's going. So how much what are you paying my teacher? What is going to my books, and why? How much? And why is the cost of my books so high? I mean, we paid $400 and something for a psychology book that was this thick, and it's like, really? I mean, you want to know where your money's going. So how is it being spent?
How is the money being spent? That's a good question. What would you have to do to answer that kind of a question? You'd have to do an awful lot of research, wouldn't you?
Yeah, a lot of research.
You'd have to do a lot of research.
You know, find out
Why is it so high? Where is the money going? What would be some other questions that could break down that particular topic?
Why are different classes more expensive than others? Or different?
That's a good
Yeah, if we're all
question.
trying to get an associate's in business, you know, why does one school charge this much and one school charge
Or-
that much?
Oh, that's a good question.
I changed mine,
Because
and the cost of my class actually came down because I
Yeah.
went from associates to bachelor's. So my class, my cost dropped by about almost $3,000.
Even though you're adding that many more classes, right?
Right, I mean,
Yeah.
even though it's more, you know, I have more classes, but my cost came down when I went from associates to bachelor's. So why is my associate's costing more than my bachelor's degree, when a bachelor's degree is a higher degree than this?
Yeah, yeah. And takes longer to
Here's
get,
a
you're actually
question I
taking
would
more
have
classes.
though, on that particular topic. Is the cost of college too high?
Yes.
Would you, if you were writing a paper like that, be preaching to the choir? Do you know what I mean by preaching to the choir? Don't you think that almost everybody would agree with you?
Right,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah. So you'd have to use an awful lot of research. If you were just going to write it as an informative paper, then you would do a lot of research,
Yeah.
and that would have to be the way that you would make the paper, as basically informative. The
Right.
reason why the cost of college is so high. If you're going to write it as a persuasive paper, would it make a good persuasive paper?
No.
Well, it depends on how you go at it.
Well, that's true. If you got a real
Because
unusual
if you
thought.
look at your area and you've got your poverty areas, and then you've got the ones that can actually afford to pay for their college. You know, I mean, it really just depends on what kind of spend you put on it.
And that's a very, very good point. When you're doing, that's the whole idea of developing the topics and asking questions and brainstorming. To come up with a thesis, because your thesis is your spin. This is the kind of spin that you're going to put on it. So if you're going to develop a thesis that's going to get somebody's attention, it's probably going to have to be a pretty unusual or unique opinion. Maybe something that might go like this. The reason why college is so high is because we have corrupt politicians. I don't know, that would be a spin, maybe, you know. Or
But they keep
we've
getting higher and
got
higher, there's no
crooked
jobs,
colleges,
there's people.
you know.
You got people all going
Or the
crazy.
reason why college is so high is because 50% of students don't pay their student loans.
Oh, now that would be good.
Yeah.
That would
And
be.
then you don't even-
There'd be different ways of thinking.
High.
Pick out another topic.
I already showed my mom. Should men get paternity leave?
Which one?
Should men get paternity leave?
All
I
right.
want to do that.
Topic.
Religion cause war.
I think they should.
All right, let's take this one here. Let's do a little brainstorm practice. You haven't said anything back there, Norietta. She doesn't want to be on
She
camera.
never does. Wake her up.
She never does. She's so quiet. Norietta, do you think that men should get maternity leave? You have no opinion? Oh, it depends? Okay, she has no opinion. You got an opinion? What is a maternity leave? That's when men get pregnant?
No. I think they should. I think they should.
But only for a
I
limited
think they
time.
should because you have your wife.
Somebody
Just
told
gave
me.
birth.
For the first,
Tired
for
of
the
the
first
first
week or two.
And
Yeah.
at least the
Because
first
not-
week
not
to
the
help
whole
out so the wife
time.
can get some
Right.
All right,
sleep
yeah.
and rest up to
Okay,
help mom
okay,
get around.
All right, let's go back. Okay, you asked the question, what is maternity leave? You kind of understand if should a man, a husband or a wife have an opportunity to take off from work when the wife just had a baby? So that's the question.
See, like the wife is automatically given 6 weeks of paternity leave because that's how long it takes for her body to recuperate from having a baby.
All right.
But should a man be allowed to take it also?
Okay, let's take that
You ain't
topic.
gonna be there, not
Let's
gonna walk it.
brainstorm some questions. What would be some questions that you could create a thesis? What spin? I like that term there. What spin would you put on your essay? First of all, who's going to take the side that you should? Anybody?
I think it would be a
Yeah.
great idea.
Yeah.
Those of you that think you should, give us some questions that you would want to ask about how you would create that paper and what kind of spin you would put on a thesis. You feel they should, so why?
Why should they?
Why should they?
The first 2 weeks are very important to mom to heal and rest so that she can take care of the baby afterwards.
Yeah.
Okay, I don't know because the way my mom, she's old, and the way she thought about it was when I was pregnant and I gave birth, she says that in her time, her mother used to take care of her child
Yeah.
while she recuperated for 40 days.
Yeah.
So what she did was that she made me lay in bed, watch TV all day, brought me food to my bed, and completely took my son for 40 days.
Nice.
And that's the way she thought about it. She doesn't feel like, I don't know, I think I would have gone crazy if I had my baby's father there.
This is my point behind it. It gives the father and the baby time to bond, because fathers don't have that opportunity to actually bond with a child like mom does.
Yeah.
So with that 2 weeks of them being off, he's there with mama and baby, and they're able to create a bond with a child, and as well as help take care of mom until mom can get.
Yeah.
That's
And not everybody has a mom that's going to
Turn
stay
the,
40 days and help you.
Turn those thoughts into some questions. What kind of questions?
My one thing is, would men take advantage of the situation and not actually be there for the whole 2 weeks and help mom? Are they going to go out playing golf?
All right,
for 2 weeks?
here's a question.
You know?
Class. All right, here's a question. Would men take advantage of maternity leave?
Oh, hell yeah.
Yeah, a lot of women. Yeah.
What would be another?
Look at Johnny Davis.
Now, Penny, can you turn your thought into a question? If you're going to write this, what kind of question would be answered?
Right. Yeah, I would too.
Hey, everyone, listen up. Listen up. Well, we got a hot topic here.
Yeah.
Okay, listen to
I raised
Penny.
my
She's going to.
Well, I just think that if I was going to turn it into a question, it would be, what is the purpose of him taking his 2 weeks to stay home?
Yeah.
All right, that's the question. What would be the reason?
What if it takes away bonding time from mom?
Oh,
Because
that's
at
an
the
interesting
same
question.
time, my mom had my baby for 40 days, but she would bring him in every 2 to 3 hours for me to breastfeed.
Yeah.
And then whenever his dad would come and visit, it's like I felt like my time for breastfeeding and being with my son for that half an hour to an hour was taken away from me.
That's a very interesting point to think about.
And right now, my son doesn't want me. He only likes his dad.
And
They go through that anyway. Children go through those.
Can the husband maternity, if a husband has maternity leave, can it impact the bonding time between the mother and the child?
Another
And
thing.
would that be a problem? You know, that's a good question. Dave, you shaking your head no.
I don't know. When my son was born, I was there. I was on R&R from Iraq.
Yeah.
So I spent 2 weeks right there. He was born. The first day I came home on leave, and I had 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And I spent those whole 2 weeks with him. Then I left.
Yeah.
I went back to Iraq for 6 months. I came back. He didn't know me.
Yeah.
So you might have a thesis that would your thesis perhaps be that both mother and father need to bond with the child?
Well, that's what I
in
would say.
in that very.
It gives them an opportunity for both parents to
Any other particular questions that you could use on it?
Well, I think one of mine went on, because I actually already started researching this, because this is, I think, the topic that I'm going to do my paper on. But my thing was, like, I noticed a lot was the companies were complaining that if you have too many men taking it, if you give it to men, then you're going to have all these men out of work at maybe the same time. Where if a woman, you might have one woman in the workplace with 20 men. But what happens to these 20 men, 10 of them all are babies at the same time or something, their wives are home.
So
they're taking time off, that might affect a company.
Give me a question then. Give me a question for that. How would you turn that into an invention question? Something that you're going to answer.
Would maternity leave affect your business as far as less men or more men taking time off for babies?
What is the impact?
Yeah.
What is the impact to the economy if men have maternity leave?
Yeah.
That could be a way that you could ask the question. Any other questions? All right, you go from kiss the left there.
Milo.
You make sure you stay awake, Eric.
All right, we took a broad subject area. The subject area is men maternity, and of course we didn't go to a lot of detail. And then we look for a topic for explaining, which could be
Bonding.
Bonding could be a part of the one topic. Distraction could be another topic, which is that's an interesting point of view.
Misuse of leave.
Abuse can be another question, you know.
Understanding.
The impact of business is another question. So you break this topic down for exploration. So you ask the key question that concerns you, which is what we just did. We went through some key questions that concern you. Now, from that key question, you develop your opinion or your thesis. Let's take one or two of the questions that we came up with and develop a thesis statement that might be used about the topic, should men take maternity leave or have maternity leave. Let's take Penny's first. The question again is, can you put the question out to us again?
I don't.
Come on, Penny. All right, let's get the question here. Let's see if we can kind of rethink how that question would be. It has to do with should both parents have the opportunity to bond with the baby? What? I would have additional questions though.
Right.
Maybe this is me getting off topic. The first thing that comes to my mind is maternity leave all about the bonding? Is that the main reason?
No, it's not.
So then you have to ask that question as well.
Yeah.
But if it is about the bonding, or if that is the issue that she's going to use, how would you create your opinion, your thesis statement? Make it a declarative statement. If you're going to do a thesis statement, you either want to make it something that declares your opinion, that's provocative, that catches attention, that causes the reader to want to read more. Consider your audience. So, think about it. How would we word a thesis that has to do with both the man and the woman bonding with the child?
Bonding.
Bonding is key.
What is it? Bonding is key. Can you expand on it a little bit?
Yeah, I think I'm not gonna use bonding.
Okay, we're going to get to you. Will you do yours next?
Okay, you're right.
Penny, can you expand on it? How would you say it? Your thesis opinion.
Both parents bonding with the child is important.
The father's bonding is as important as the mother.
There you go. That's gone.
Yeah.
The father's bonding is as important as the mother's bonding
Yeah.
with a newborn baby.
Yeah.
Or you might you could still go some different ways with that. There's some other tacks that you can take using that same kind of thought. But to make the statement provocative, you might even ask the question, why is it men do not have maternity leave?
They're not recuperating.
Oh, that's a good question.
They didn't have the baby.
Because they'll both bond.
Or is it as important for the father to bond with the child in early stages as it is with the mother?
I think it is. I think
But that's
it
not
makes
what-
the relationship between like the mother, father, and child closer.
But see, like David
More
said, you know what?
like
Like 2
a
weeks
man,
ain't
for
matter.
example,
It means 3. There's
what
2
his
weeks
wife
ain't
just
matter,
did, just gave him a baby. She's all bloated and in pain, and him being there, helping out, and helping with the baby, create maybe, I don't know, something closer, more respect towards what she went through, more of a tight bond as a family bond, like
No.
All right,
seeing his
we're getting
wife,
somewhere. This is on the
seeing
roll
that
now.
baby
Yeah.
that she just, gave birth, his son, his
Yeah, family
daughter,
bonding.
and being there.
Just thinking some of the words that just came up.
Yeah, family bonding.
Bonding is a family affair.
That's it. That's a good one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bonding is a family affair. There was something else that you were saying there that was stimulating the juices here. Well, that's an interesting subject, though.
Yeah.
Yes, it is.
What